Be here 327 November 21st, 2024. Talk really quick about the market, some names I'm looking at. Go from there, but take a look at the S&P. SPY's right at the 595 handle, found some resistance just about 15 minutes ago. Strong session considering the pull at the open. It seems like I'm putting on the watch list this morning like a carbon copy. Uh, the last two sessions we have a pull at the open to lows, 10:30, 11 or so. We hit the lows and then a meticulous bounce to the upside. Yesterday it took a last minute surge for the S&P to get flat, but today different story. Hit those lows, broke under 588 for a minute at 10:30, and then that was it. Um, so good session. I mean, considering we're right near all-time highs on the S&P, that's kind of like the action you want to see, some consolidation before the next leg. I was talking about yesterday, well, not yesterday, but this morning on the watch list also with Nvidia. It's like we got the monkey or the proverbial elephant off the back of the markets, right? So all that overhang. I wouldn't say it's overhang, but maybe some anxiety that hey, maybe Nvidia, this could be it, right? Because it's going to happen at some point. Well, I'm not saying all it's happened all the time, but the insane growth and all that will taper, right? It's not going to be. You hope it's not sudden, but when it does happen, yeah, I mean, maybe the market's already pulled back and priced some of that in, but for now, I think all systems go for maybe a short term move over 600, and then I put on a watch list to 610 maybe. So 585 and 590. Those are my spots on the SPY. Now I think if we get through 600, I think 610 comes, and then I'd be a little more cautious. That's the thing. I'm a little more looking to add some things today, and of course the market looks great. It's one of those days where you kind of like harvesting positions, right? But then on the same token, what happens if we one of these days we get a 1.5-2% gap down day? It'll just destroy positions, right? And especially the names I'm in. I mean, most of my stuff is December now, so wouldn't be that horrible. And then January's, but certainly when it kind of keeps me from being overly aggressive. So that's that on the SPY. IWM finally, I mean, it outperformed yesterday, and here it is up nearly 2% today. Great sign. I might have to make a new box of chop for IWM to 230 to, well, it might be 235 to 240. So that's overall marks. And then take a look at the VIX too. And the VIX was all the way up again, 17 and change, then back down. It's actually in the red now, considering where it was this morning. Probably almost something I shouldn't watch unless it starts breaking over 18 again. All right, so that's that's the overall market. So individual names, and I put on a watch list. Wow, for Lemonade. I mean, what am I going to say after today? It's up another 10% today, and it's right near highs. I was just saying in the chat room before that considering where it's ran just from the end of October, from under 20, the analysts. So yesterday, BMO Capital maintained a underperform rating and raised their price target to 15. Right? Piper Sandler this morning maintained their neutral rating, raised their price target to 44 from 2025, and then Morgan Stanley threw in their bear towel after just keeping a downgrade their sell rating 5 days earlier, then upgrade the stock 2 days ago. So it's kind of comical. And then to see it sitting here. So this morning it was like I posted on FinTwit the big jet liner, the refueling tanker in the air, refueling a jet, because that's what it felt like. It was a little slow at the open in a red, and then you get worried, hey, maybe the short starts to take control, and then that didn't happen. Boom, off to the races, squeeze all the way over 50, and once that 50 handle broke, it was like a dam broke, quick up to 51. Just a great sign. They'll get, I think, new short numbers don't come out for another week. Maybe it's the 26th. I have to check. But that'll be the next kind of tidbit of information if this is a short squeeze. Someone was posting, and I always thought, people always talk, they have this up-to-date short data, but it's like how do you get all the different exchanges and brokerage and all that to get all that data so you have up to the minute short interest data? But either way, someone said yesterday, I saw somewhere that the short, there wasn't really much short covering yesterday on Lemonade. So I mean, of course, that's wishful thinking, and it's probably through the goggles of someone who's bullish the stock, but I'll take it. So I love Lemonade. I locked some more. I've sit there and I'm looking at my December's almost $20 now. I got them in 60 cents or so. Of course, in hindsight, it would have been nice to hold all of them, but would I have held them all? I probably wouldn't have if I didn't get those Novembers either. But either way, I was looking. I mean, do I close them out at $20? I'll probably just wait till tomorrow and see how it works out. I mean, I'm trying to rationalize and get a mental price target in my head at least into December, so I get a better conviction, because it's hard to hold swings. But I could see it trade up near $60. So maybe that'll be the threshold. But I did lock more of my November strikes in for nearly 1,000%. I'll hold a couple more of those. Only have the couple of Decembers. Monster profits already on that, so it's not spilled milk if we do get another downgrade and finally it finds some weakness. But that's Lemon. I mean, it's such a great story. I've been, the more I start looking at, due diligence and all that, it just, and these insurance stocks, and I've said it with Trupanion, if you heard my rants over the years, it's a very easy sector for bears to get in and to create this narrative, this story, because there's capital requirements when you're insured. You have to, so it's always a debt issue. And then if you can't raise the cash, then you become insolvent, and then you have regulators that come after you. So there's a whole uh, circle of things that could happen. That one shoe drops, then it's the next shoe, and so it's very easy to create that FUD, which is one of the reasons why Lemonade has that huge short interest. All right, rants for other days. That's Lemonade. A block. So I was actually looking to close more of my hundreds. I'll just wait. They expire next week. I already locked some in for freebies. I went and got some December strikes too, just in case there's some FOMO. They're inexpensive now. If this gap and runs over 100, they're not going to be inexpensive when that happens. So have plenty of time on those as well. And then I guess I don't watch CNBC. I used to, but Josh Brown came out and announced he's long square. I don't know if that's good. It spiked. Sometimes I hate those spikes. I hate when a Kramer pump comes in or what have you. Uh, I have echoes of names that he's talked about in the past. I mean, Roblox is one of them. I think was substantially higher than a couple $100 or wherever it was. 100. I don't know how high Roblox was, but it was high. And some of that is when you have kids, right? So I think he has kids. So then that there's a business that's lucrative, right? So anyway, so I regardless of what he's done, it doesn't change my thought on what's going on. I just sometimes I do wish there wasn't that noise behind it. But maybe tomorrow I'll lock some or the rest, more of the rest of my hundreds in, and then just ride the Decembers. You also have the volatility today, right? So you have Citron Research coming out today. I don't know how he's allowed to tweet, or why would you put yourself in any kind of position when you're under investigation? But he's saying he's out short. Oh, and the VIX is spiking here. Interesting. He's out short MicroStrategy, but he's long Bitcoin. And if you go back to his tweets, he used to be short the ETF Bitcoin. Was it Grayscale? And then now he's saying he's long Bitcoin, but short micro. It's all mumbo jumbo in my opinion. If you go look at his complaint that was filed against him, it shows that the instant he says he's short, he covers the position within a matter of minutes. He did that on many occasions. So I would take everything with a grain of salt. But it's taking now MicroStrategy. So if you take a look at MicroStrategy, like the valuation, you have to start looking at the underlying assets, and then you have to say, okay, if Bitcoin gets to here, what should the valuation? If it's just a store value company. So I don't know. I haven't traded. I don't plan to trade crazy premiums. You also had Kerrysdale Capital out with a short earlier this year, saying he was short micro and long Bitcoin. But then if you look where micro had run since Bitcoin, even on Bitcoin's 100 whatever percent gain this year, rants for other days. But the good thing, it doesn't look like it's impacting Square too much, this pull here. And then if you look at the Bitcoin futures, then 98.88. Yeah, so it's not really doing too much here. So it's still up 4% today. All right, so that's Square. Not going to talk too much about that one. Palo Alto this morning. So I put it on the watch list. It always tends to have these reversals when it has a week open after earnings. So I was watching it, and unfortunately, it almost like got away. I was trying to get the 415s, couldn't get filled at 80, then 90 cents. So then I passed, and I waited a second. Then I'm like, I got to get something. So I got the 420s, and then it spiked 395, 398, 400, 402. And luckily, I was able to get some of the calls out for a little over 200%, a little more than somewhere in there, 250. Unfortunately, I held the rest, but I still think there's an opportunity for this to move tomorrow. Upgrades all day today. I think it's just kind of like one of those churning, profit taking, churn through old new buyers in, old sellers out, and then I think it heads higher tomorrow. But those will be freebies. But a nice trade this morning. That's Palo Alto. Peloton is at 1.5 year highs. I think it finally broke over 9, hit 920 just before. I still have my January strikes, which finally are back flat or somewhat flat. Probably not going to add anything just yet, but you have to think as the holiday season comes in, not only for gifting, but then into January you have New Year's resolutions, and it always seems to be the time where these fitness names start to take off. Here's a name that's a turnaround story. I think is going to trade into the mid to high teens into 2025, but not going to anything there. Dell, unfortunately, I missed adding some more Dell strikes. I put on the watch this morning too, played at 140. It was weak at the open, under 134 by 10:30 or so. And then it spiked into the afternoon. And here it is tapped. It just tapped 140 a minute ago. I'll probably just sit on my hand. It has earnings next week. So normally maybe I would try and get some calls into next week, but I'll probably just sit on my hands for now. But I think its earnings is going to be over 160. But the risk reward on the calls, it's tough unless I go seriously into money, which is not my forte. That's not what I typically do. All right, now onto Unity. So Unity, fourth session row to the upside. It's up almost nearly 5% right now. I was mentioning it yesterday when I got the strikes. It just seems like some of these names have been beaten to death, and some of it probably more so than it should have are going to come back to life. And Unity is one of them. So I was able to close some of my January strikes for nearly 100%. And then I'm looking for later dated strikes. I think this trades into the 30s into 2025. So I'm going to be patient. Like I said earlier, I don't want to be in too much stuff yet, right? I don't want to be overly aggressive, but these names are just calling out to me. The other thing with Unity, it's over its 200-day moving average for the first time since the end of 2023. I don't know if that means much, but to me, moving averages are like one of my one of the key indicators I look at for strength. The 50, obviously short term, and then the 200 long term. So to me, this could be the start of a long term move to the upside. So that's you. Don't be surprised if I had some strikes there. TeleDoc I put on here. Thanks, K-Mitch. I don't know if K-Mitch is on the audio, but TeleDoc was one of my top 5 stocks. I don't know how long ago. Maybe it was 2013, way before the COVID induced pump. When it came to relevancy, it did an acquisition too. And here it is. It trades less than 1 times revenues. You have a new regime coming in that's probably going to be more focused around less about medicine, right? And that's some of the reason that biotechs are going down. I mean, that doesn't do much, but I don't know how much impact they would have. But yeah, don't be surprised if I add some strikes into the end of the day. You look at a chart, I'm like, wow, this can go to $15. 50-day moving average was 9, broke that today, and then 11 is the next spot. So don't be surprised if I get some strikes there. That's TeleDoc. JOBY, what a move today. Huge volume on the call side. I think it was 40,000 contract. Let me see if there's an update, which I don't have here. Do I have an update? 59,000 calls traded versus 6,900 puts. And if you look, a lot of them are in the April. There's like 13,000 of the April 9 strikes traded. And it's not like block trades. It's like many 50, 100, 20s, 30s in volume blocks, but over the course of the day. So it's not like someone just came in and said, I'm going to load those and just in 500 blocks. So extremely bullish. And then because of the huge call volume, you see the premiums spiked. And I was mentioned, I don't know if it was yesterday, the day before, it's like JOBY would run up, but then the premiums would be flat. And then finally, premiums are creeping in. And so I was able to lock some of my January strikes in. I was trying to get the fill at 7.5. It didn't fill me, but so a little over, I don't know what that is, 200%. And then I held the rest, and I'm looking also, I might get some April strikes. They looked more attractive the last couple of days because they were inexpensive. The premiums weren't there. Now the premiums creeped up. Some of the April strikes are up 100% today. That's JOBY. And last but not least, here's NetEase. And NetEase has a shot here. So still got some of my 90s left. I'll probably, little gap. China market's up tomorrow. That thing could be $94. That's it, folks. Let's have a great day. I'll be back on audio later. Rock and roll.